we're going to turn to our friend John in Superior, Wisconsin, watching us over on YouTube. Speaking of, welcome to the program.
Father, you might not know, but things like video games, live streaming, social media, these are $1 billion+ industries. And I was just curious, is there anything that the church gives us as guidance on what type of movies we can or cannot watch? I'm not talking about X-rated material. That's kind of obvious. Things like video games, are these things harmful or helpful to the soul? Things like being on social media constantly. Is there anything that the modern magisterium has done in an encyclical or in some type of address to teach the faithful how they ought to use their time when it comes to movies, video games, social media, things like that?
Well, I think, the 10 Commandments apply all times, and they can be applied even to movies and video games. Of course, some movies and video games may have, inappropriate content, which may not necessarily be outright pornographic, but they may be, especially for young people playing them, may have, inappropriate role playing and things like that, or exposing them to immodesty, impurity, even in a, even if it's not, even if it's just, the way the characters are dressed or whatever, can be, if it's a source of a temptation to a person, then they need to be careful what they're viewing. And that could be movies, can be video games, could be surfing the internet. So we have to always apply that, my custody of the eyes that we have to practice. I mean, church doesn't have to issue anything modern about that. It's age-old advice from the moral teaching of the church. So language content, especially with blasphemies and things like that, best to, if you try not to expose yourself to that too much, because then you find yourself, repeating, or those words become part of your vocabulary. So you have to be careful. I would say that hopefully the entertainment that you're viewing, you should treat your soul like it's a child, because you want to maintain that purity of heart and mind and body. And so, there may be some action movies, if, even sometimes the violence can be to the point where it's pretty graphic. I think you have to use your common sense and use your judgment about that if you think it's something that really is going to help you to grow in your sanctity. And there's important things now you can find, like VidAngel and things like that, where you can censor out the content that you don't want, language or scenes. And I think that's very good, because it puts filters on things so that you don't get exposed to some things. You can censor or edit your own movie to make it more moral content. So it might be something you might look into, especially when it comes to movies.
I'm glad you mentioned VidAngel, Father. It's a great resource for those who are looking to filter things out. I have to admit, I'm going to out myself right now. I actually really enjoy video games, but there are problems with them. Specifically, the language, it really bothers me. I really dislike blasphemy and profaning the name of the Lord. But thankfully, the games that I play, there are mods that you can install and remove those things. So thanks be to God, other people smarter than me are going through the files and removing all that stuff.
That's good. One of the things, though, with, some of the role playing, or some of the videos where there's almost too realistic, especially where the whole purpose of the game is to kill, to war games type of thing. To me, I don't know. When I was a kid playing, soldier, we knew it was, make believe. We knew it was, everything was, just playing. But some of this can be so realistic, you wonder if it's not also kind of desensitizing people to violence, or to, where the purpose of the game is to eliminate other people. I don't know if that's a good thing to have a healthy diet of such a thing like that. It's better to maybe be careful what you're, if you are what you read, Fulton Sheen used to say, if you are what you read, then also be careful maybe also what we view or play, because it may be also, in some sense, forming us, and we want to say, how do I want to be formed or deformed? And that's important.